A new study just dropped that basically proves what I've been saying to my clients for the last 7 years. Two groups of men, same exercises, same volume, same effort, same 5 days a week, same time. One group lost significantly more fat across their entire body, including abdominal fat. The other group saw smaller improvements. And in some areas, their fat mass actually increased. Same workload, same frequency, supposedly the same conditions, completely different outcomes. The only difference was how the work was distributed across the week. And if you're a dad in your late 30s, 40s, and 50s, still training like you were when you were in your 20s, or trying to follow programs that fit that kind of life, this might be why you're not making progress. Most of the men I speak to are putting in the effort. They're not necessarily lazy. They're not necessarily looking for shortcuts. But they're potentially still doing the bro splits that they used to do, chest Monday, back Tuesday, legs Wednesday, etc. They're showing up 5 days a week, walking out of the gym feeling completely wrecked and assuming that that means they're making progress. But the mirror disagrees. The scales disagree. The energy levels that crash by 2 p.m. disagree. The fitness industry has sold a lot of these guys a lie. More is better. Volume is king. That if 3 days is good, 5 days must be better, and 6 must be even better still. But it's just not true. The science is now telling us what I've seen across the last 15 years of coaching. The right 3 sessions, structured properly and trained with real intensity, will burn more fat than 5 sessions of the wrong thing. Let me break down the study, why it matters for guys like us, the limitations you should know about the study before you rip up your entire program, and the exact system to apply it. So, the split that is keeping you fat. This was a randomized control trial published in the Journal of European College of Sports Science. Proper study, not Instagram bro science. They took a group of men with a few years of training experience, not complete beginners who didn't know what a dumbbell was, but equally not juiced up bodybuilders either. They split them into 2 groups. Group 1 followed a full body routine, every major muscle group, every session. Group 2 follows traditional bro split. You know the one, chest one day, back one day, shoulders one day, etc. Both groups trained 5 days a week. Both trained in the 8 to 12 rep range at about 70 to 80% of their 1 rep max, roughly. And crucially, both did the same total weekly volume, same exercises, same effort, same frequency. And the results? But wait, they weren't even close. Their full body group lost significantly more fat. The bro split group saw much smaller improvements, and here's the detail that made me stop and reread it. Some of the guys doing the bro split actually gained fat in certain areas. Gained it, despite doing the same amount of work. I wasn't necessarily shocked when I read this because it lines up with what I've seen over 15 years of coaching guys. The guys who train full body consistently get leaner, faster than the guys doing the classic bro split typically. Particularly the men I coach who are short on time and responsibilities, okay? But why? Why would the same amount of work, just arranged differently, produce different results? There are 2 things going on here. First, metabolic demand. When you train full body, you're hitting every major muscle group in a single session. Your body has to work harder to keep up. It needs more energy to get through that workout. The overall demand on your system is significantly higher than if you sat there hammering your chest and triceps for 45 minutes. Think about it like this. If you're running a business, you don't just spend an entire day just on emails and another entire day just on sales calls. You spread the load. Your body is the same. Hit everything in one session and the engine has to work harder. Second, there's something called EPOC, which is excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. That's a mouthful, but I know it sounds like something you need a PhD to understand, but in simple terms, it just means your body keeps burning calories at an elevated rate for hours after you've left the gym, okay? And because a full body session demands more from your system, the EPOC effect is bigger too. So you're not just burning more during the workout, you are burning more after it as well. Double whammy, right? More calorie burn in the session, more calorie burn for hours afterwards, over a week, over a month, over 6 months, that gap compounds, right? It's like compound interest. But here's the bit of the study that I found most interesting. And I'll admit that even this surprised me a little bit. The full body group reported lower levels of soreness than the bro split group. And the guys with lower soreness also lost more fat. Now I know that goes against everything most of us have been told. Even I had to sit with that with one for a minute. Because I never encourage my clients to chase soreness, never have. But most guys still walk out of the gym thinking if they're not sore or crippled the next day, they didn't train hard enough. We now have clear evidence that soreness doesn't mean progress. It can be an indicator that you trained well, but it doesn't mean you're making progress. All soreness tells you is that muscle was stressed. It doesn't prove fat was burned. It doesn't prove muscle was built. It just means you're sore. That's it. And here's why this actually matters in practice. When you are excessively sore, your recovery takes longer. Your training quality drops in the next session. Your total week output goes down. So you might feel like you smashed it on Monday, but then you're still hobbling around on Wednesday, and by Friday, you're still not fully recovered. With full body training, the fatigue gets spread across more muscle groups. No single muscle gets completely annihilated, which means you can maintain a higher quality of output across every session and recover better over the course of the week. But when you zoom out, that higher weekly output is what actually drives fat loss, not how wrecked you feel on a Tuesday morning. Make sense? Stop judging your workouts by how sore you feel afterwards. Start judging them by how consistently you can perform them at a higher level across the week. That's what the science is actually telling us matters. Now, before you go rip your entire training program, I need to tell you something important, because as much as I like these results, I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't point out the limitations of the study. First, the sample size. There were only 23 participants, 23. With a sample that small, a few people will respond unusually well or unusually badly, can completely skew the results. And this matters even more with fat loss because body composition can be affected by so many things: hydration, glycogen levels, food intake, daily movement, stress, sleep, even how accurately the measurements were taken, okay? So we take these results with a pinch of salt. We never take them blind. Secondly, who was actually in the study? These participants were around 25 to 26 years old with 6 to 7 years of training experience, young, well-trained men. They weren't the average guy in his 40s or 50s carrying an extra 30 pounds while negotiating his kid and managing a stressful career. They weren't you, basically. And that matters. Your recovery capacity at 45 is not the same as 25-year-olds. Your stress load is different. Your sleep is probably worse. Third, the diet side of things. The study says their diet was monitored. But monitored and controlled are two very different things. And at the end of the day, the size of your calorie deficit is still the single biggest predictor that determines how much fat you lose. So if we don't know exactly how much these guys were eating, there's a pretty big question mark hanging over the whole thing. And finally, nobody has replicated these results yet. That's how science works. One study gives us a signal, but until someone repeats it and gets the same output, we can't treat it as gospel. So I'm not telling you to ignore this study. The results are interesting, and honestly, they line up perfectly with what I've seen in the real world, but I'm telling you not to lose your head over it, because what actually matters for your fat loss is far simpler than which split you are running. So let's now dive into the 3-day fat loss system. The best split in the world means nothing if your lifestyle is a complete fucking shit show. 3,000 steps a day, 5 hours of sleep, eating rubbish junk food, not getting enough fiber, not getting enough water, not getting enough protein. No magical training split is going to save you from that, okay? But if you get the training structure right and you nail the other 23 hours as well, that's where the compound effect lives. That's where the results actually start to show up. Step 1, pick 3 non-negotiable days. The single biggest mistake I see is guys trying to fit training around their life instead of building their life around training. 3 sessions a week, non-negotiable, same days, same time, every week, okay? When you commit to 3 sessions and protect them the same way you protect a client meeting or a board call or a doctor's appointment or whatever else, you remove the daily negotiation. You stop asking, do I have time today? And you start treating it like the non-negotiable asset that it is. You wouldn't skip a meeting with your biggest client. You wouldn't no-shoot a call with your accountant, at least I hope not. Yet with your health and fitness, the one asset you cannot outsource to someone else, most guys treat it as optional. It is not fucking optional. Your body is the foundation everything sits on. Your energy in the boardroom, your presence with your kids, your confidence in your mirror, how good you feel within yourself. All of it flows from this thing. My training days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. My wife knows this, my kids know this, it's the calendar, it doesn't move, that's when I train. Step 2, build every session around compound movements. If you're training 3 times a week and spending half your session on bicep curl and tricep extensions, you're wasting your time. Not because those exercises are bad, you can still have them in your program, but because they're isolation movements. They only work one small muscle group at a time. And small muscle groups don't just burn the fewest calories, they also have the smallest effect on your overall body composition. You don't heat a house by lighting a candle in every room, at least not now. You turn on the central heating. Compound lifts are the central heating. Squats, deadlifts, rows, bench press, overhead press, pull-ups, lunges, those kind of things. Big movements. They work multiple large muscle groups in a single exercise. More energy burned, more metabolic demand, more strength gained, more bang for your buck in shorter sessions. Funnily enough, that's exactly what the study showed. Greater total systemic demand leads to greater fat loss. So if you've only got time for 3 45-minute sessions a week, which is all most guys need, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, fill those sessions with compound movements that give you the maximum return on your time. If you want to get the curls in for the girls, fine, do them at the end. Save them for the last 5 minutes. They should probably never be the priority if you're only training 3 times a week. Step 3, train with real fucking intensity. I think the biggest problem most people have with the training is that they just don't train intensely enough. They don't train hard enough. They feel like they are, but when the sets get a little bit uncomfortable and it gets a little bit tough, and you hear those little voices in your head saying you can stop now, or you can feel the burn. Usually when that happens, you've got a couple more reps you can still do, but that's where most people stop. The growth is in those last few reps that are really fucking challenging. You can't just cruise through all of your workouts and expect results. Expect adaptation, expect your body to change. You are forcing your body to change. You are providing a stimulus for it to change. And you've got to be willing to go back to that little place that is uncomfortable in order to make that happen. If your last set of squats feels the same as your first, you didn't train properly. If you can do the same on set 1 as you did on set 3, you didn't train properly. There's a difference. And this is why 3 sessions with real intensity beats 5 sessions of going through the motions. The quality of the work matters more than the quantity, and it always has. Front load your protein at breakfast is step number 4. I've called this protein front loading. Really exciting fucking name. All it means is that you're going to have a big chunk of your daily protein quota for breakfast. That number, in my opinion, should equate to around 40 to 50% of your daily intake in that first meal. If you're a dad like me and life sometimes gets chaotic, I always have control over my breakfast. I always have control over that first meal. I don't always have control over the rest of the day. Shit happens, the day spirals. But if I already know that I've hit 80 to 100 grams of protein in that first meal and got a decent hit of fiber alongside it, it makes the rest of the day much easier for me to manage. Skip the intermittent fasting. I know it's all the rage, I know people swear by it, but having worked with hundreds of guys over the last 3 years, I can concretely tell you that the ones who eat high protein breakfast get leaner faster than the ones who skip it. Take control of that first meal and set the tone for everything that follows. I'll do a separate video on fasting because I do think fasting has its place, but not necessarily in the form of intermittent fasting. We'll go into that in another video. Step 5, protect recovery like it's part of the workout. Recovery is where the results actually happen. Past 35, your ability to recover isn't what it used to be. Your testosterone probably isn't what it was at 25. Your sleep is probably worse. Your stress is probably higher. And when you're smashing 4, 5, or 6 days a week, you're not giving your body the time it needs to repair, rebuild, and come back stronger. Full disclosure, training 3 times a week, most weeks, sometimes 4, is where I happily live. I'm in my mid-30s, and that's where I happily live. All of my guys training in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s live there too. I've seen in my clients the past 4 sessions a week, the law of diminishing returns tends to kick in hard. If any of the clients insist on training 5 days a week, I tend to advise against it. I can't stop them, but I advise against it. Not because I don't think they can hack it, not because I don't believe in hard work, but because what I've seen is that guys over-train and then under-recover. Their progress stalls, their motivation drops, their sleep suffers, and then they end up burnt out wondering what went wrong. 3 sessions with the right structure and the right intensity is more than enough for 95% of guys. The other 2 days, walk, move, play some sport, live your life, do things. Step 6, walk every day, 8 to 10,000 steps a day. That's it. I shouldn't need to expand on this point. Walk as much as you humanly can. The cheapest, lowest friction fat loss tool available. It doesn't fatigue you, it doesn't require a gym, it doesn't require changing into gym clothes, it just requires showing up and moving your legs. I see this all the time, the guy who's doing 5 gym sessions a week but averaging 3,000 steps a day. He's active for 45 and sedentary for the other 15 hours. It's too much, too big a gap. Close that gap. Keep your metabolism ticking. Improve your mood. Improve your recovery. And it's such a simple tool that most guys overlook completely. Don't overcomplicate this. Move your body as much as you possibly can. Step 7, audit your lifestyle, not just your training. Your training split counts for nothing if the other 33 hours, 23, 33, fucking hell, we just added on 10 hours to the day. If 23 hours of the day are wasted, what you do outside of the gym matters far more than what you do in it. Your steps, your food, your sleep, your water, your stress, your habits, in other words, your overall lifestyle, the overall big picture, right? That's where fat loss is actually going to happen. Don't get me wrong, the gym supports it, of course. Getting stronger is really important. Building muscle is really important for longevity and health. But if you're doing 5 workouts a week, getting 3,000 steps a day, and eating rubbish and you get 5 hours of sleep tonight, you are sabotaging everything you were trying to do. Don't be the guy that's got the training dialed in, but everything else is a shitstorm. And then wonder why you're not seeing the progress and the scales aren't moving. Now, let me be clear, it's not weak to admit that you need help with this stuff. You wouldn't necessarily try to do your accounts on your own. You wouldn't necessarily represent yourself in court. You wouldn't try and pull your own teeth out, at least I hope not. You'd hire an expert. Yet with health and fitness, the one asset, and you can't really delegate, most guys try to wing it alone. That is a recipe for failure. Stop overcomplicating your training. Pick 3 days, fill them with compound movements, train with real intensity, front load your protein, walk every day, protect your recovery, and build a lifestyle that supports your goals that you actually want. This study might tell you that full body is better, and it probably is for most guys, but consistency, recovery, and what you do outside of the gym will always matter more than the specific split that you're doing. Remember, if you want me to help you with this, if you finally want to take action, have somebody hold yourself accountable, stop trying to wing this and stop thinking about it on your own, and have somebody who's got 15 years of experience to guide you through this process of getting in the best fucking shape of your life without any of the bullshit nonsense that you might be reading elsewhere, that's what my Jack Dad protocol does. That's what my coaching program does for you. If you're interested in that, click the link in the bio. If not, no worries. Thank you for watching the video. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.